Hello, my name is Rob, and today I will talk about environmental news, which I found, and on Bill 5 and the federal government, as well as play Fallout. Now, let's see. I want to go to a different screen. So I have the first screen is called Coney Has to Pick a Lane. Advocates and opponents worried about mixed signals from liberals on fossil fuels. And this is in the Toronto Star. And so it says that there's a lot of mixed messaging. Regarding fossil fuels. And then I'm just going to make sure I check the chat. Okay, I can see one of the chats anyways. But, yeah. Coney has the current Liberal government that was recently elected is inconsistent when it comes to fossil fuels. In this article by Alex Bollinger, it says Coney expressed openness to new oil and gas infrastructure as part of his vision to turbocharge the construction of major development projects. I believe that it is problematic because the international organizations have indicated that increased fossil fuel development is inconsistent with meeting the objectives of the Paris Agreement, or keeping the world below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And if we continue along this path of increased fossil fuels, then there will be increased natural disasters as a result of climate change. There's the International Panel on Climate Change and the International Panel on Climate Change and other groups. And then it says, the next morning, former Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault cast doubt on whether there would be a good case for new pipelines in Canada. So there was another thing that happened. And then Buckley Ballinger, the new Liberal MP from Northern Saskatchewan, who was appointed as Coney's Secretary of State for Rural Development, circled back on the issue by praising the Prime Minister's plan to help the provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan approve more pipelines for the fossil fuel industry. So this is definitely mixed signals as the article says. And then the article says some industry players are optimistic that fossil fuel expansion will happen. At the same time, the article says abortus premio and conservatives blasted it for standing in the way of development. And then those climate groups that are worried about what will happen to greenhouse gas emissions, because, and they have good reason for it, because Canada has not met many of its climate targets, or any. I don't think it's met any of its climate targets, and we might be weakening the climate targets, and undermining it. And this sends this lack of action on climate change also has an impact on trade, because many other countries, including the European Union, have climate agreements regarding trade. So if we want to trade with you, if we want to be less dependent on the US due to 54th state threats, then we have to consider that as well. Let's see. And then Jonathan Wilkinson was removed from cabinet, and Marlo Reynolds expressed concern about that because of experience in environmental and natural resources portfolios. Oh, and Marlo Reynolds is a board member of the Pamela Institute. And then Tim Hodgins' resume includes being on the board of Meg Energy, which is an oil sands producer. And it's not necessarily that being on the board previously means that you're going to support increased fossil fuel development. However, there was an indication, possible indication of that happening. And then Adam Legge, the article says, of the Business Council of Alberta, said that he's that's a win for the energy sector, and then there was an interview with CTV, which indicated changes to the Federal Impact Assessment Act, or a cap on emissions from the oil and gas sector. And then Legge says, I worry there will be a standoff and stalemate at the cabinet table. Carney is going to have to override some of the environmental views that are still very prevalent at the cabinet table. So this is a pro-fossil fuel individual in the article. And it says, naturally, environmental advocates have the opposite view. And then Caroline Briolette, Director of Climate Action Network Canada, said that the government should stop an all-of-the-above approach and follow through on regulations, And yeah, the emissions reductions are being offset by expanded production in the Alberta oil sands, so it's being undermined. Let's see. And I can hopefully look at two screens at once. I'll see if anyone's watching elsewhere. Okay, so I don't see anyone in the chat. I can maybe... let's see. Okay, so I see that I don't really see things happening in the chat when I do double multi-stream. So that's that news article, and I will go to So this article is called Canada's 2035 climate ambition was weakened by the new Trump reality in the National Observer by John Woodside. And this was in February of 2025. It says Canada's net zero advisory body called for minimum 50% cut in emissions, while Climate Action Network Canada urged a steep 80% reduction, taking into account Canada's fair share. The fair share is what it will take to reach 1.5 degrees Celsius, to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius if every country took action on climate change fairly, and taking into account the global south and global north dynamics. So the global north would have to, because the global north has had more of an impact, their share would be higher than countries in the global south, generally. And then Caroline Brulette of Climate Action Network Canada characterized Canada's weak target as a bane in advance to U.S. interest. Canada is, there's a quote, "This would risk putting Canada too far behind its net zero goal and would likely represent insufficient ambition in contrast to Canada's key international partners, including other G7 countries like the United States." And then there's another quote, "Canada has not once met a target it has set, but according to Feedback Environment and Climate Change Canada collected last year, while determining what the 2035 target should be, It appears much of the public doesn't care about meeting targets. What matters is whether progress is being made. And I would argue that a lot of the time progress is not being made. And then those findings. And this is coming from the government, so we should take that with some hesitation. So it says that they wanted a more aspirational target, even if it means not knowing exactly how we will get there, and presents greater risks of not achieving it. So that's that article. And then I'm just going to see if there is anyone in the chat. Okay, so I don't see anyone on YouTube or Twitch. But feel free to add your comments. Oh, wait, I want to go to so this is another article. Ford government denies bill to speed up development will override environmental and indigenous concerns. I highlighted some things in the article. It says endangered species. Oh, this is by Christine Rushroy and Noel David. And says endangered species will be at further risk under new bill. Environmental groups also say gives the government too much power to fast track mineral and infrastructure projects anywhere it wants. And it would allow the province to create special economic zones exempt from the usual laws to get shovels in the ground on projects, which Ford says can take years to start because of the necessary authority plus permits for approvals. And then the Premier's office said, we are maintaining high environmental standards, labor laws, and duty to consult. Any assertion otherwise is false. I just saw... Yeah, and I would argue that those, when they are getting rid of the requirements for consultation, it's a bold-faced lie. And environmental standards, it's also a bold-faced lie. I looked at the legislation changing the definition of habitat. Narrowing its scope is problematic. So they are not maintaining the duty to consult, and they are not maintaining environmental standards. And then opposition critics are saying it will severely undermine constitutional protected indigenous rights to consultation, accommodation, and consent for any kind of project before it starts. And then the concept of fast-tracking infrastructure on indigenous lands contradicts the legal principle of free, prior, and informed consent, which is part of UNDRIP, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, which is international law. And And then the same MPP, Sol Makwa, said many projects where mining companies do not consistently engage with affected First Nations from the beginning of the projects. You have to understand that consultation is not just checking a box. And then more than 100 environmental and conservation groups have submitted a letter to the province outlining their concerns. And then we can't support scrapping the Endangered Species Act and bringing in an act that just talks about where they live today. Right now, it's like saying that your house is protected, but it's okay if you tear down everything around your house. And this was said by West. MPP Jamie West. Let's see. And then giving the province responsibility for protecting the list of endangered species instead of leaving that to an independent body is cause for concern. And then there's a lot of concerns with the bill. Those criticisms from various types of groups. So like various types of groups like civil rights, environmental, labor, environmental, indigenous groups, First Nations, etc. And then the article says the bill would give Cabinet the ability to ignore laws, skip consultation, and improve development without consultation. And this is said by Christina McCoy with McCoy Archaeological Services. And then there's another quote. It's saying Indigenous consultation is red tape and environmental protection is bureaucracy. And then Ford said, you can't change the process without working collaboratively with all sorts of sectors, groups of people. And then there was a claim that projects take 10 to 15 years. And a lawyer with Equal Justice, Laurel Bowman, said the bill essentially gives the Cabinet the power to override any law or change any law within economic zones, and within those zones to exempt any trusted proponent or project from any applicable law. So then there is So then there is a submission from the Canadian Environmental Law Association, and this is submissions of the Canadian Environmental Law Association on Bill 5. And I'm not going to read all of it today. I might go through it again as well. I'm just going to check the comments. So there's no comments. So this is the submissions of the Canadian Environmental Law Association on Bill 5 and Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2025. There is an upcoming what's it called? Committee on the 22nd, which I mentioned yesterday. I encourage you to watch that committee. Well, it might have been a couple days ago when I did my last live stream on YouTube. And so there is an opportunity to comment if you missed the environmental registry. So, yeah, it's called the Standing Committee on the Interior and you can make comments until May 26th at 6 p.m. Written comments. The deadline to make all comments has passed, but you can still make written comments. And I've highlighted some things. The bill consists of amendments to laws that are designed to facilitate, if not accelerate, energy and infrastructural development and mineral extraction, particularly, but not exclusively, in special economic zones. And then the environmental protection and assessment, endangered species and heritage preservation laws would be amended so that they would not impede rapid implementation of energy and infrastructural developments and mineral extraction, particularly in these zones, which are likely to be in areas where there are, highly sensitive environmental concerns. The Ring of Fire is known for a lot of the wetlands, and wetlands, and not just any wetlands, bogs and fens, which are more sensitive to development than other wetlands. And then it says Bill 5 would unleash significant problems by undermining procedural and substantive provisions of various environmental species and heritage protection laws in a manner that will introduce economic, environmental, social, and cultural uncertainty, derogate from legal and constitutional rights of members of the Ontario public, including Indigenous peoples. And then it would be an extension of more than half a decade-long continuum of problematic legislative approaches on the environment by Ontario. And then it's talking about the Ontario's throne speech, which was delivered on April 15th, which had the letter says it had an intention to address economic uncertainty and eliminate red tape by restoring a sense and sanity to the labyrinth of rules and regulations that bring development in the province to standstill. And then it committed to further streamlining, quote, the province's environmental assessment process and bring common sense conservation principles to the role of conservation authorities and species at risk requirements. And then it's not the first time that the laws have been economy has been used. They've previously rolled back Conservation Authorities Act, Endangered Species Act, and other legislation. And then due to economic reasons, as stated, there was a technical briefing. It wasn't that detailed, and there wasn't an explanation regarding how the requirements would improve things, or how current environmental requirements are blocking or delaying resource development. There wasn't an explanation or an elaboration, as this letter says. And it's noteworthy that this is a 46-page letter, and the technical briefing was only 10 pages. So, I know it's a briefing, so briefing is supposed to be shorter. But I found that interesting as well. And then see, the Canadian Environmental Law Association says that all of Bill 5 schedules, with minor exceptions, should be withdrawn and not further considered until they are substantially modified to ensure protection for the environment, human health, and vulnerable members of the Ontario public, including Indigenous peoples who may otherwise be harmed by the amendments contained in the various schedules. So a lot of the recommendations are that it should be withdrawn. And yeah, so I'm going to pause here because there's a lot to talk about in this. And just in like one schedule, Schedule 2, there's a lot to talk about. And I hope to get back to this before the 26th. Well before the 26th. Hopefully tomorrow, if I'm able to. Yeah, and then I'm just going to see if anyone's watching on Twitch. So I'll go on a short break. So I am back. And I will be playing a little bit of Fallout. I don't know why my screen is still showing yeah, I think it's just behind. Let me see. Stream manager. There, okay. And I'll see if anyone's watching on YouTube before I go in. No, it looks like it's. I'll focus on the Twitch stream. Let's see. So to start the mission. Oh, I think we just click. Okay. Click on the moon. I look for things. Oh, there's a sparkle. Okay, so I got one item. Oh. So sparkle, bottle cap. Some new armor. Elevator. I'm just going to go to, yeah. So those insect cockroaches. I think they're cockroaches that are impacted by the radioactive fallout. Oh, that was... Oh, I want to go into that one last room. Well, I think I got everything in here, so I will return. Okay. Oh, let's see. Oh, there's a time log. Oh, there's a new baby. And then I got one thing. Vault-Tec. Ooh, I got called. 100 caps. Okay, your inventory. Where is my inventory? Residence. I don't think I have a storage room. Interesting. Oh, then we turn into warp. Let's see. Just building an elevator. Might need another. Oh, there's a comment. Oh, I was just saying cheap views on Steam. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm going to ignore that comment. Let's see. So I built an elevator. Maybe I should build an elevator down there. Oh, my happiness went up to 34%. Oh, and then I can. Who is. Okay, so health. Okay, so it looks like increasing health doesn't. Health. Okay, so I don't really have that much. I want to save a couple of health. Just in case. Maybe if I can. Oh, I need 3,000 to upgrade that. let's see. Okay, where is everybody? Let's see. Oh, it doesn't allow me to look at what they all. So I can have up to 34 dwells. Oh, level up. Level up. Food. Uh-oh. Oh, that was quick. Okay. Quick. I'm just going to switch to looking at YouTube. Seeing if, okay, so, yeah. Well, yeah, do you want me to do a mission? Priest health. Oh, outfits. I can give someone an outfit. Oh, I don't have any outfits. But I do have 2 clothespins. Oh, I should build something. Okay, build the storage room, which I will build here. So I can hold 20 items. visual. Okay, so I have a new outfit. I have a new outfit. Cool. Well, I'm leveling up some people. Oh yeah. When is my goals? Have 5 ball draws, 12 pieces of junk, and equip 6 draws with an outfit. So I can equip one more with an outfit. So one it has an outfit, and then possibly no. So let's see. Oh, what are the other missions that I might be able to do? Missions. Quest list. Okay, so then it says I've completed. Interesting. Well, it doesn't look like I have any views on. Not many views right now, so I might not go for another quest. Let's see if I have views on YouTube. So it doesn't look like anyone's on Twitch. And I'm not sure if there's any views. Okay, so yeah. So, well, I hope that you have a good night. And I will see you next time. I will end the stream. Let's see. Yeah, I hope that you have a good night. I will end the stream shortly. I encourage you to submit a written letter to the Committee of the Interior regarding Bill 5 if you live in Ontario. There are significant concerns with that piece of legislation that will undermine environmental laws, not just environmental laws, but laws protecting label and public participation. So I will see you next time.